Greetings everyone from Saudi Arabia and an affiliate. My name is Saeed Al-Qahtani. I am the acting proud to support the largest anti-fraud program, which is the first with more than 5,000 association fighters and an affiliate with ACF, many international ACF. We are proud to support the largest anti-fraud program, and thanks to all our with more than 5,000 fraud for sharing their valuable knowledge with many international and amazing energy to make this program. Thank you all for joining us. And thanks to all our speakers and grow for sharing their valuable knowledge, vast experience, and amazing energy to make this program a massive success. Learn, practice, and grow. And I wish you all the best.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us with this amazing program that we have with more than 5,000 delegates attending us from all over the world. My name is Ziad Murtada. Thank you for joining us with this amazing program that we have amazing leaders with more than 5,000 over the world delegates attending us. I'm so happy that we were from all over the world. My name is Ziad Murtada, and I have worked for the last couple of months. We have so many amazing leaders who actually from so many chapters over the world workshops, and I'm so happy that we were able to launch this program. So with that, let me now today we have very special. But before I start, we just want to make sure that you are who actually deliver so many amazing workshops for the session to interviewing skills. In case you are attending the session, so with that, let me you need to do the setup and let me get him on board. But before I start, I just want to make sure that you are collecting the key. So this is the code for the session. In case you are attending the session, you need to go claim your code. So I'm going to leave it here for a second. So make sure you go to this web, make sure you are claiming your code, and then you enter the code and you can get your CBE certificate. So this is how you need to do it. So make sure you go to this web page and then you enter the code and you can get your CBE certificate. So this is how you need to do it. Everyone took a photo for it. We are going to share it at the beginning of the session and at the end of the session as well. The session is going to be around 50 minutes, 55 minutes. And then we can take your questions. We are going to share it at the beginning of the session with you after that. At the end of the session as well. The slides. The session is going to be around 50 minutes, 55 minutes. And then we can take your questions and answers. The slides will be shared with you after that. With that, don't worry about the slides. The session will be recorded, so we will share also the recording. All the slides are going to be shared with you. Everything after 48 hours, you will get notification from us. Everyone got the code. The session will be recorded, so we will share also the recording with you tomorrow. Everything after 48 hours, you will get. Do you want to share now your slides? Everyone got the code? Let me make sure. Okay, perfect. Great, let's get started. So, Mr. Sherman, do you want to share now your slides?
Okay. Are you seeing my screen?
Now your screen.
Yes,
I'm going to see my screen.
And my name.
Perfect. Okay, let me start now the webinar.
Okay. Are you seeing my screen?
Yes, I see your screen.
And my name.
Perfect. Okay, let me start now the webinar. Welcome everyone to our Fraudology Masterclass. We have today amazing speaker that's going to deliver for you all the techniques that you need to do when you are conducting fraud investigation. To our Fraudology Masterclass, an expert who conducted so many amazing speakers that's going to deliver for you all the techniques that you need to do when you are conducting all over the world. He is considered with us an expert who conducted so many professionals interview on so many every time in the ACF Global Conference. I look forward for master classes all over the world. He is considered one of the best experts. He will teach you the techniques that interview techniques. And every time in the ACF Global Conference, I look forward. Today we have Mr. Sherman because always and he is gonna actually share with you so many concepts and ideas. He's currently the general manager of the American Embassy from the group. Today we have Mr. Sherman McGraw, and with that I will give him actually share with you so many concepts and ideas. He's currently the general manager of the American Embassy.
Wow, that was quite an introduction. I hope it's not coming through that I'm blushing here after all those kind words that you gave me. Thank you so much. Okay, let's get started. Wow, that was quite an introduction. I hope it's not coming through that I'm blushing here after all those kind words that you gave me. Also, all right? So we're going to jump right into it. Okay, let's get started. All right, a little bit of my introduction and my background, so you know where I'm coming from. On their screen. First question I always ask myself whenever I see a presentation. So we're going to jump right into it. Why should I listen to this guy? And you know, all right, a little bit of my introduction and my background, so you know where I'm coming from. First question I always ask myself whenever I see a presentation. You know how much credibility they have. You know, that's a good question. So what is this individual's a little bit of my background, so you know where I'm coming from. So that captain enable you to know how much credibility they have. 160 kilometers outside of New York City. So we're going to go over a little bit of my background, so you know where I'm coming from. I'm also Lieutenant Colonel. I'm a captain of the Waterbury Police Department. That's about 100 miles. I currently work as a program analyst outside of New York TSA at the U.S. Connecticut in the United States of America. In the Netherlands. I'm also Lieutenant Colonel of the U.S. Army Reserves. A little bit of my law enforcement background. I currently work as years law enforcement experience for TSA at the U.S. Embassy in The Hague in the Netherlands. Captain. Extensive financial crimes experience. A little bit of my law enforcement background. 23 years, thousands of interviews. Experience. You can see the ranks that I held. Everything from patrolman. I couldn't even put a number on it. So extensive financial crimes experience. Primarily when I was also police academy director. Thousands of interviews. Probably rewarding jobs I ever had in my entire life. Even put a number on young police recruits. A lot of experience on the right path. I was also police academy director. Was also a SWAT team commander. Rewarding jobs I ever had in my entire life. Working with young police recruits and sending them on the right path. Okay, military, 31 years, military experience. Also a SWAT team commander. Retired as Lieutenant Colonel. A couple of combat tours in Iraq. Also worked with the UK CIVPOL. Military, 31 years, military experience. Trainers. Retired as Lieutenant Colonel. Couple of conducted financial investigations for the U.S. Army. Oh wait, there's more. Police in Basra. Right, Masters of Science, forensic science. Also have a law degree. That's right, a CFE. Also conducted financial investigations for the U.S. Army. And a lawyer. But wait, there's that more. Is a grizzly bear. Right, Masters of Science, forensic science. Right. I'm admitted to the Connecticut bar in the United States. CFE, federal bar. SWAT team guy there if I want. And a lawyer. Okay, that's enough about me. So you just kind of have an idea of where I am coming from. Right. I'm admitted to the Connecticut bar in the United States, of the level that I'm presenting at if I want it. Okay, that's enough about me. So you just kind of have an idea of where I am coming from. 15 minutes. And I always want to start, regardless of the level that I'm presenting. Every single time somebody runs into a problem, no more than about 15 minutes, and some of you are saying, why? Why basics? Somebody calls me up or they write me an email. I have this somebody runs into a problem. This is what happened. I was interviewing the guy in his office. And they're like, whoa, time out. Somebody calls me up somebody and write me an email. I have this particular situation. Somebody's deviating from the basics. I was interviewing the guy in his office. And they're like, whoa, time out. You should never interview somebody in there. Let's go over what we already know. If you don't know it, it's not a problem. If somebody's deviating from the basics. We're going to refresh and recharge our batteries. They did it anyway. Equals problem. Why interviewing? All right, let's go over what we already know. If you don't know it, many of you guys and gals are experienced. We're going to refresh and recharge our batteries. You're able to conduct an investigation. Why interviewing? Why even have this at all? Based on the evidence. You guys are, many of you guys and gals are experienced investigators, etc. You're able to conduct an investigation. You can develop a sometimes based on the evidence. You can gather your profit and loss statements, your balance sheets, cash flow, etc. The evidence is just not enough. Sometimes it's the only way we're going to get somewhere on a particular case. Even when we do have enough evidence to move forward, if you can get a confession to go through that, which you can obtain the only way we're going to get somewhere. It just kind of puts a real nice. Even when we do have enough all this evidence to move forward, and you have a confession from the fraudster, which you can obtain, that is a great case. It just kind of puts a real confessions are vital on it. Gotta have all this evidence. Many financial crimes would not be solved from the fraudster. Man, that is a great case. The deal. Okay, confessions are vital. Interviewing uses the tools you need. Many financial crimes would not be solved without confessions. Years ago, when I was a rookie police officer, I took my first, what was known at the time as interviewing uses the tools you need to get those confessions. I had been on the street years ago when I was people. Sometimes I would say I took my first. I know you did it at the time as interview and interrogation. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. That was it. I had been on the street. I had been accused them of doing something. They denied it. Sometimes I would say, as far as you can go, right? I know you did it. What more can you do? Well, it turns out there's a lot more you can do. That was it. All right. I'm going to try to give you those tools. Accuse them of doing something. They denied it. I said, that's as far as you can go, right? What more can you do? It gets you past being stuck. There's a lot more the suspect denies. I'm going to try to give you those something to you, which is going to happen. I'm sure it's happened to a lot of you already. And admissions. We're going to get past that point. How do we get past? It gets you past being stuck. And very important, a suspect denies. When somebody denies something to you, which is going to happen. I'm sure it's happened to a lot of you already. When I talk about legal, we're going to get past that point. How do we get past? We're going to hit on this a number of times over the next hour. Make sure you do legal properly where you are practicing legal. We all know fraud is now international. It's global. We're going to hit on this a number of times over the next investigators. It's legal. You are not only moving around within your own country. We all know fraud is now international. It's global. It is all over the place. And as fraud investigators, but you are not only moving around within your own country, which may have different laws within the EU, and then outside of the EU, it's almost like 50 different countries. You need to know, but you're also going to be moving over international borders. Not emphasize this enough. Say even within the EU, and then outside of those laws, they're going to keep you legal and correct. You don't want to jam yourself and get into trouble you are by not knowing the laws. Not emphasize this enough. All right. Make sure you know those laws. They're going to keep what interviewing is correct. You don't want to jam yourself and get into trouble by not knowing the laws. It is not like what you see on TV. We've all seen the police dramas on TV. What interviewing is where a suspect is in a room, sometimes they're handcuffed to a desk. Right. It is not like what maybe 2 or 3 detectives. We've all seen the police dramas browbeating. They're being nasty. They're being in a room. Sometimes you better tell us what happened. You know, that kind of nonsense. And there's a detective, maybe 2 or 3 detectives. And they're basically browbeating. They're being nasty. They're being mean. Doesn't work in the police world. You better tell us what happened. You know, that kind of nonsense. Detection world either. No. That is you are never, ever a bully. It doesn't work in the police world. Never a tough guy. Tough guys lose either. Don't be a tough guy. You are never, ever a bully in an interview. Right? You want to never a tough guy. Tough guys lose. What I mean by that don't be a tough sometimes you're investigating a fraud and it's so horrendous, so horrible. Right. That you just want to unload on the person. How could you have done such a terrible thing? What I mean by that is sometimes you're investigating a fraud and it's so horrendous, so horrible, right? That you just want to unload on the person. How could you have done such a terrible thing? Et cetera and so forth. And you relieve yourself, go to jail, or they lose their job, and they get the just reward. Would it be better if we could just get a confession out of this individual and either you're already they go to jail or they lose their job and they get the just reward. You may not realize this, but you are. We use these techniques every single day in our run-of-the-mill lives at interviewing. We're always using these. You may not realize this, children are. We use these techniques every single day home with you in our run-of-the-mill lives that we lead. We're always using these techniques, whether it's with our children, with our professionals. Oh, by the way, don't take these techniques home with you. And do you ever get the feeling when you're speaking to somebody, he or she is lying? Right. There's a good reason. You are probably right. Practice out of ever see someone talking and know they were lying? Do you ever get the feeling when you're speaking to somebody on TV, he or she is lying? Odds are, there's a good reason. You are probably right. Get that feeling. Right. Ever see someone talking? Show you how to interpret those natural instincts. A politician on TV indicators. All right. We're going to use. Odds are you are extremely right. What you already know. All right, I'm going to show you how to interpret those natural instincts and point to concrete indicators. Do your homework. All right, we're going to use what I mean by this. Help you develop what you already know. All right, you do your homework. First step, do your homework. All right, don't shortchange it before you even common sense. Know the facts of the fraud uncovered to date. Learn something about the suspect. All right, don't shortchange it. HR. Common sense. Look to the HR file. Know the facts. There's that legal point again. Fraud uncovered. Know the laws. Learn company rules and regulations. Your company policies. Can you go to HR and also where you look to the HR file? All right. There's that legal point again. Know the laws. Know your company rules and regulations, your company policies. Well, are they making and also where you are 50,000 euros and they're driving a 200,000 euro car? In the HR file, I've seen it happen. Car someone does happen. Why would that? Why would HR have that? Well, maybe he's got an assigned parking space, so we need to know what kind of car euros and they're driving a 200,000 euro car. Learn something about. I've seen it happen. The person you are going to. Why would HR have that? Well, maybe he's got an assigned parking space, so we need to know what kind of car their office drives, right? It's an indication. Learn something about in their office things that person you are going to them. When you walk into someone's office, great place to do that. Reflection would be their office. What is important to them. You're getting at people insiders in their view of their mind. Important to them. When you walk into what do they have on their desk? You're getting a reflection of what is important to them. Their boat. They have pictures of insiders' view of their mind. Indications. Okay. What do they have on their desk? Is the most important. They have pictures of their family. Maybe material things are the most important. Pictures of their boat. They have pictures of their car. Gives you an insight into their indications. Is their office family is the most important thing to them? Is it orderly? Maybe material things. Or does it look like the paper bomb just went off in there? I had a boss. It looked like the paper bomb went off in there. Within a week of him coming on his job, his desk was covered. Is it orderly? The chairs were then covered. Does it look like the paper bomb just went off? And he moved on to the floor. I had a boss. It looked like very efficient man. Very good. Within a week of him coming on the job, his desk was covered. The chairs were then covered with piles of paper, and he moved on to the floor. Very efficient man. Very good boss. Order. And that was his method. It was an insight into their mind. Some people, this is doing your homework. This is discovering things about a single day. That's a very orderly person. Oops. All right. Order and routine means check files, privacy concerns. All right. Talk to supervisors. Homework. This is discovering things the supervisors take on someone. Oops. All right. Also, talk to coworkers. Files, privacy concerns. What is talk? They may have a slightly different take on someone than a supervisor. Take on someone. So you do all this. Also, talk to coworkers. A picture of the person you're going to interview. They may have a slightly different take on someone than a supervisor. All this will help you during the interview process. So you do all this. Right. The shortest point picture between of the person you're going to shortest way between 2 points start is a straight line. Emerge. Right. And all this many times we're human beings. We're all got a little bit of that lazy gene in us. Between the shortest way between 2 points. Sometimes we don't want to do all. And many times we're human beings. We're all got a little bit of that lazy gene. Maybe we can get a confession right away. I know I have it. Won't necessarily. Sometimes we don't want to do all the homework. Do your homework background that a case requires. Let's just do the interview. Maybe we can get a confession right away. It won't necessarily happen that way. Okay. Do your relating to a suspect. Very important. Know as much as you can about the suspect. You have to be able to relate to somebody to establish a rapport. You have to feel it relating to a suspect. Do you ever meet somebody for the first time? You have to be able to relate to somebody. Within 5 minutes, it feels like you've known this person forever. The conversation flows. Do you ever meet somebody for the first time? You're thinking the same thoughts together within 5 minutes. It feels like you've known this person forever. This is what you want. The conversation flows. The person that you easygoing, suspected fraudster. You're thinking the same thoughts. Sometimes this is hard, depending on what they've done. This is what you want to do with the person as a detective interview. I could never do any kind of sometimes sex crime or depending on what they've done. I found those things personally to me so abhorrent. As a detective, I could never develop. I could never do any kind of sex crime or child abuse. I wasn't the person to do I found those things personally to me so abhorrent. I could never develop. Any of us ever been short of money? Suspected of doing those things. So I wasn't the person to do those kind of interviews. So we can relate to that. We can relate to a suspect. Did I commit fraud? Any of us ever been short of money? To help alleviate that problem? No. Times in my life, sure. So we can relate to that. We can relate to a suspect. Did I commit fraud in order to get feedback as you talk to that problem? No. Are they engaging in a conversation? But I can understand the motivation. What are they saying? How are they saying? It helps me to establish. Are you the right person to do this interview? Right. Get feedback as you talk to someone. When you meet them. Are they engaging in a conversation? What they've done is so abhorrent to you. What are they saying? How are they saying? You don't want to shake their hand. Are you the right person to do this interview? Doing these days. Shake hands when you meet them. But if you would be hesitant to shake their hand, maybe you're not the right guy or gal for so bad that you don't want to shake their hands, which can't fakery,
shouldn't be doing these days.
Can't
at all.
Caring about. But if you would be hesitant to shake their hand, maybe another way, guy or gal,
you've got to be able to
do that. There's a word for all this. You can't fakery. You have to have empathy for the fraud. Caring about. All right, you got to be able to empathize with the suspect. Really,
let me give you a concrete example.
Word for all this. Empathy.
Somebody has a family member who gets sick.
Frauds.
God forbid,
cancer. You got to be able to empathize with the suspect.
Let me give you a concrete example.
Enough money for the medical bills.
Somebody has a family member
they commit fraud,
who gets sick
in order to help
alleviate that problem.
Right?
Can I understand
they don't have
that?
enough money.
Absolutely. Can I
the
relate
medical
to that?
bills.
Sure.
And they commit.
Am I excusing it?
Fraud
No way.
In order to help
But am I
alleviate
able
that
to understand
the motivation that?
Can I understand that?
Absolutely. Can I relate to that?
Trying to help a family member.
Am I excusing it?
No way. There's dozens of different ways to do that other than
the
stealing.
motivation that compelled this person
taken advantage of that,
but I can understand.
They were trying to help a family member.
Empathize.
Always, there's dozens of different ways to do that other than stealing, of course.
Now,
where are we going to conduct this interview?
I can empathize.
Ideally,
the motivation
in an interview room. And what would an ideal interview room? Where are we going to conduct?
It's not going to have any windows.
All right.
Why?
Ideally,
windows are
in an interview room.
A way to
what would
look
an
out
ideal
the outside world,
interview room
see what's going
look
on.
like?
Well, it's not going to have any windows.
Right. When you're interviewing
Why?
someone,
Windows
you
are
want them
a way to
focused
look out
on exactly
the outside
what you're
world
talking about and
if
see
they
what's
can turn
going
their
on.
head and
It's
look
a
out the window.
distraction. It's not good.
When you're
They get
interviewing
distracted.
someone, you want them
relieves the pressure
focused
that they may
in
be
on
feeling.
exactly
right?
what
So
you're talking about.
Ideally, in
They
an
can
interview
turn their
room,
head and look
no
out the
windows.
window. Small.
It's not good.
They get distracted.
I'm not talking like a
It
closet. Relieves the
I've seen
pressure
them
that
as
they may
small
be
as
feeling.
about
Right. So
2.5 meters.
ideally,
by
in an
2.5.
interview room,
No
a
windows.
small room
Gives
Small.
the physical
Right.
impression.
I'm not talking like a
of
closet. Pressure.
But I've seen them as
Right.
small as about 2.5 meters by
2
2.5
chairs,
meters.
easy one.
Right.
One for
Small
you,
room.
one for the
Gives
interviewee.
physical impression of no
Pressure.
posters on the wall,
Right.
no artwork, no warning
2 chairs,
signs.
easy
you
one.
know,
One for
bare
you,
walls,
one for
no
the
windows,
interviewee.
Small,
Just 2 chairs.
right?
Maybe
no
a
posters
desk,
on
a
the
small one
wall,
off to the
no
side if you have
artwork, no
evidence and
warning
paperwork that's gonna be
signs.
used during the interview.
Bare
But
walls,
that's it.
no windows,
All right.
small.
Just
Right.
2
You
chairs.
want it
Maybe a
quiet.
desk, a small
You
one
don't
off to the
want,
side
again,
if you have
distractions. You don't want
evidence and
people
paperwork
walking by.
that's
You
gonna
don't
be
want
used
conversation to
during
be
the
heard. You
interview.
certainly
But
don't
that's
want
it.
anything you're
Right.
discussing in the room
Right.
to be
You
heard.
want it
by
quiet.
others. You don't want,
nice
again,
people.
distractions. You don't want people walking
Right.
by. You don't
Do
want
your
conversation
best
to be
to
heard. You
find a
certainly
place
don't
like
want
this.
anything you're discussing
If
in the
you're
room to be
going
heard.
to be
by
working,
others. Particularly at a
you want
firm
nice
season, get a
and quiet.
dedicated interview room. That would
Right.
be great.
Do your best to
Odds
find a
are
place
most of
like
us as
this.
investigators, we're
If
going to
you're
be
going to be
off into
working,
the field,
particularly
into
at a
different
firm
countries,
season,
you can get a
different
dedicated
locations,
interview
where
room.
we're
That
not
would
going
be
to have
great.
that level of control.
Odds are most of us
Do
as
your best to
investigators, we're
find
going to be
a
going
place to conduct
off
an
into the
interview that has
field,
all
into
these
different
attributes
countries,
that
different
we just went
locations, where we're not going to have that
Um,
level
if
of
it has
control.
windows,
Do
maybe it
your
has
best
blinds.
to
Pull the
find
blinds down
a place to
so they
conduct
can't
an
look
interview
out.
that has
You know,
all
adapt.
these attributes.
When you get into
that
the
we just
interview,
went
if there's
over.
stuff on the wall,
All right.
take it down.
If it has windows,
Okay.
maybe it has blinds. Pull the blinds
All right,
down
let's
so
move
they
on.
can't look out. You know,
Now,
adapt. When you get
important
into the
point
interview,
here.
if there's stuff on the
Remember,
wall, take it down.
it's an interview.
Okay.
It is never, ever,
All right, let's move
ever an interrogation.
Now,
Important
right.
point here.
This type
Remember,
of presentation
it's an
years and years ago used to
interview.
be called
It
interviewing
is
and
never,
interrogation. We got
ever,
away from that.
ever an
Forget
interrogation.
the word interrogation. We don't
Right? Use
this
it
type
anymore.
of presentation
Who
years and
interrogates
years ago
people?
used to be called
The
interviewing
KGB
and
interrogates
interrogation.
people.
We got
The
away
Gestapo
from that.
interrogates
Forget
people.
the
We
word
don't
interrogation. We don't
interrogate
use it
people.
anymore. Why?
Who
Interview.
interrogates people?
It's a kind of
The KGB interrogates people. The
If you're ever
Gestapo
on the
interrogates
stand,
people. We
and
don't
you're needing to testify in a particular
interrogate
case,
people.
we
And an attorney
interview
says,
them.
"How long did
It's
the
a kind of
interrogation
gentler
last?"
word. Your response.
If you're
is,
ever on the
interview
stand
lasted for
and you're needing to
approximately
testify
half
in
an
a
hour
particular
or an
case,
hour, whatever it is.
and
All
an
right.
attorney says,
Always
"How long did
use
the
the term
interrogation last?"
interview. Your response is The interview
Be friendly
for
during
approximately half an hour.
Remember, bad
Or an hour,
guys
whatever it is.
lose.
All right.
Establish
Always
empathy,
use
establish
the
a
term
rapport
interview.
with whoever you're talking
Right.
to. People
friendly
will
during the
unburden
interview.
themselves
Remember,
to
bad
people
guys
that they
lose.
like. Establish empathy, establish
Don't
a
like
rapport
you,
with
you're never
whoever
gonna
you're
get
talking
anywhere.
to. People will
Develop
unburden
empathy.
themselves to people
Right.
that
Can't fake
they
that
like.
game.
Shake hands if you can.
Don't like you.
After
you're
you
never
meet
gonna
them, you
get
meet them in the lobby, wherever you meet them, and you
Develop
you're going to now
empathy.
walk to the interview
Can't
room.
fake that game.
There may be small talk.
Shake hands if you
on the
can.
way to that interview. After
room.
you meet them in the lobby,
All
wherever you
right.
meet them, and you're going to
That's
now
normal.
walk to the interview room.
What is going to
There
be
may
one
be
of your
small
first
talk
indications
on the way to that interview room.
that somebody has done something
All right.
improper?
They're going
That's
to
normal.
start questioning you about the case as you're
What is
walking
going to
to
be
the
one of your
interview room.
first
Why am I here?
indications?
What's going on?
Is this
that
about
somebody
somebody has
right.
done something improper?
Anybody, it's natural to have.
They're going to
question
start
you
questioning you
when they
about
have
the
just a
case
whole
as you're walking to
barrage
the
of
interview room.
questions.
Why am I
waiting
here? What's going
as
on?
you walk to that
You know,
interview
is this
room?
about blah, blah, blah. Right.
That's an indication of
Anybody, it's natural to have a
and why are they
question or
doing
two.
this? When they have
Particularly
just
if
a
it's
whole
a
barrage
planned
of
interview where they've been
waiting
told,
as
you
you
know,
walk
at
to that
Tuesday
interview
at
room,
2:00 in
that's
the
an indication
afternoon,
of guilt. You will be
Right.
interviewed.
And why are they
Right.
doing this?
The night before. Have
Particularly
they
if
slept
it's
well?
a
No.
planned interview where they've
Right.
been
They
told,
are
you know, at Tuesday
in a
at
tremendous
2:00 in the
they are
afternoon,
under a tremendous
you will be
amount of
interviewed.
stress.
They've hardly
The night
slept at
before,
all.
have they
All these
slept
things
well?
are going through their
No.
mind.
Right?
Right?
And
They
they
want
are
to get in
in
a
a harder problem right away.
tremendous.
They can't even
they are
wait to
under
get
a
to the
tremendous
interview.
amount of stress.
Right?
They may
They've hardly
physically be
slept at all.
shaking.
All these things
notice
are going
that
through
if you
their
shake
mind.
hands,
Their palm
right?
may be
And
sweaty.
they want to get
Notice that they
to the
have
heart of
sweaty
the problem
hands.
right away.
They
I've
can't even
literally
wait
seen
to get to
people
the
shake.
interview room. Right?
One of the
They may
indicators
physically
of
be
stress,
shaking.
you'll notice that if you
Back
shake
of the neck.
hands, their palm may
Stress
be sweaty.
accumulates
Notice
at the
that they
back
have
of our
sweaty
neck. People
hands.
rubbing the back of their
I've literally
neck.
seen people
They're trying
shake.
to relieve stress.
One of the indicators of stress, up all
Back
night,
of the neck.
can't sleep.
Stress
They
accumulates at the
need-
back of our
not
neck.
only do they
People
want
rubbing
to
the
know
back
what
of
you
their
know,
neck.
they
They're trying to
need
relieve
to know
stress.
what you know. Up all night,
What's important
they
to the
can't sleep.
suspect?
They need. They
We
not
talked
only do they
about
want
this,
to know what you
looking in
know,
the office,
they
what is
need
their
to
upbringing?
know.
What you
Are
know.
they religious?
Maybe.
Are they moral?
What's important to the
Are
suspect?
they amoral, meaning a lack of
Right, we
complete
talked
morals?
about this.
I sometimes
looking
get
in the
this
office.
question.
What is their
You know, I
upbringing?
sometimes deal with
Are they
people
religious?
who are immoral. They have no
Maybe.
sense of
Are they
morals.
moral?
To them,
Are they
stealing
amoral,
is
meaning
a
okay?
lack of complete morals. I sometimes get this question.
Personal opinion.
You know, I sometimes
think
deal with
anyone
people who are immoral.
think
They have
stealing
no
is
sense of
okay.
morals. To them,
I think it's
stealing is
hardwired in our
okay.
DNA.
We know right from wrong.
Personal opinion.
They
I don't
deny
think
it, we may
anyone
rationalize ourselves away from
thinks
it. But
stealing
deep down,
is
we know.
okay.
We know when we're
I
doing
think it's
something. hardwired in our
Right.
DNA.
Are they
We know
moral?
right
Are they
from
immoral?
wrong. Well, get somebody. We may deny it. We may rationalize ourselves away from it. But deep down,
People
we know.
sometimes say
We know when we're doing.
they
something.
steal
from people
right.
and they feel
Are they
no
moral?
guilt about it.
Immoral?
Well, get somebody. Does that certain group of people, do they steal from each other? People sometimes
No.
say,
Why not?
They
If
steal.
it's not
from
stealing's not a
people and they
problem. Why
feel
not steal from
guilt
everybody?
about
Steal
it.
from your own family.
Right? They draw a line somewhere. Does that certain group
What's
of
wrong?
people, do they steal from each other? What do they care about?
Why not?
Look around
If
that
it's not
office.
stealing's
Do
not
they
a problem. Why
wearing
not steal
something
from
around
everybody?
their
Steal
neck
from
or
your own
something
family.
that's religious.
They draw a line somewhere.
They know it's wrong. Myself, my lapel pin. What do they
I've
care
got,
about?
something from
Look
the
around
army
that
here.
office.
This is
Are
a
they wearing
miniature,
something around their neck
medal.
or something that's religious?
That's an insight into my
Um,
mind.
Myself,
Right.
my
People
lapel
only
pin.
wear on their
I've got
lapels
something from the army here,
or
This
their
is a
suits
miniature
or their dresses,
things that
metal.
are important to
Um,
them.
That's an
Ask them
insight
about
into
it. If you
my
don't know what it
mind.
is, what is that that you're
Right.
wearing?
People
They'll be
only
glad
wear
to tell
on
you
their
about it.
This is an
Lapel
insight into their
or their
mind.
suits.
Right?
Or their
How might
dresses,
that
things
help you?
that
Say
are
you have to interview
important
me.
to
You
them.
see this? It's
Ask them about it. If
military.
you don't know what it
You
is,
think,
what is
oh,
that that you're wearing? They'll be glad to
from
tell you about
military
it. This is
background.
an insight.
Oh, you
into
were
their
an
mind.
officer?
All right.
What's
How might that
important to
help you?
officers
Say
in
you
the
have to interview
military?
me. You see this?
Honor,
It's military.
integrity.
You think,
Oh,
all right, it's something to
Former
put in the
military
back of your mind to
background.
ask later.
oh, you
during
were an
the interview.
officer?
The key question
What's
might be,
important to officers in the military?
with the men under your
Honor,
command, you think what you
integrity.
did was honorable. All right, it's something to put in the back
Would
of
your
your mind
soldiers
to
be
ask later
proud of
during
you?
the interview.
All right.
The
You
key
ask me those
question
kind
might
of
be,
questions, I'm a puddle. I'm all done.
with the men under
Right.
your command,
Just from a lapel.
think what you did was honorable. All right. Do they care about
Would your
family?
soldiers be proud of you?
All right. You ask me those kind of questions.
Real life situation here. A friend of mine.
Just from a I heard through the grapevine that his son had gotten so intoxicated. One night, it was just a real life situation here. A friend of mine that was riding his bike home here in Holland. I heard through the grapevine that his son had gotten so intoxicated. And this was kind of, it was late at night, just a teenager, like 15 years old. He was riding his bike home here in Holland and hit the curb and fell onto the sidewalk. I was concerned. And this was kind of, it was late at night. This was kind of a convenient place to fall down. He actually fell asleep. I heard that he had a little bit of a problem a few hours later. The normal response there is concerned. We're helping. Hey, how is your son? We're having him see a doctor, etc. What did this guy say? Where did you hear about that problem? Oh, the normal response there is this guy. We're helping him get him help. Reputation. We're having him see a doctor, etc. What did this guy say? Where did you hear about? Where did I hear that rumor? He's most concerned about reputation. What's important to him? Reputation. That's an insight into his mind. Right? He wasn't even want to talk about his son. In short, where did I hear that rumor? He's most concerned about reputation. How many people present for this interview? That's an insight. That's an easy one. Two. Okay. In short, yourself what makes and the suspect. Now, I know I can't see you or hear you. Some of you are saying right now, that's an easy one. We can't do that. We have to have a reporter present. Yourself. Okay. And the suspect. We can't do that. We have to. I know I can't see you or hear you. Some of you are saying right now, "Oh, we can't do that. We have to have a reporter present. Play the hand that you are. We can't do that. We have to have a ideal situation. We have to have union representation. It is hard enough to confess. You have to play one person alone. Put another person in the room. The ideal situation. 3 people in the room. Harder still. It is hard enough to confess to one person alone. Put another person in the room. You and the suspect. Harder. 3 people in the room. This may not be allowed. All right. More than that, by your corporate policy. All right. Or your laws wherever you are practicing. Make sure you know those laws. All right. But that is the ideal situation by your corporate policy. Two's company or your laws wherever you are practicing. Can't build those laws 3, or it becomes very. But difficult. That is the ideal. What if you're in a situation where you have to have somebody physically present that's going to record? You can't build a rapport with 3. Write things down. Very difficult. What if you're in a situation where you have to have somebody physically present that's going to record? I need you to stay. Write things down. Silent during this interview. Right. Before the interview, no matter have a conversation with, say it's an attorney, same thing. It's really hard for attorneys. We always have something to say. Completely silent during this. Tell the attorney, tell the person who's recording. No matter anybody else, an attorney, same thing. It's really hard for attorneys. We always have something to say. One person conducts the interview. Tell the attorney. Nobody else. Tell the person. Introduce them, of course, at the beginning. Anybody else? Put them off to the side. In there from your side, out of line of sight. And you have one person conducts the absolutely quiet. Nobody else says a word. You introduce them, of course, at the beginning. Then you have an interruption, that's distraction. Where they're out of line of sight. It's really hard to build a one-on-one rapport. Absolutely quiet. Right? So not have them be quiet if they must be there, because that's an interruption. Allows you to understand. Confessing to one person. Really hard to build a one-on-one rapport when somebody else is in the room. All right. So have them be quiet if they must be writing. One-on-one allows you to understand. Confessing to one person, it's hard. They know they have the right to leave. They have the right to return. Whatever it is, get it in writing before you start the interview. If there's and then as soon they know they have the right to leave, they have the right to return. Whatever it is, no need get it in writing before you start to be visible to the person. You've done your due diligence. And then as soon as you get it in writing, take that piece of paper, get rid of that paper. Get it out of sight. Many of you on TV have seen the American what are known as Miranda rights. You've done your due diligence. Anything you say can and will be used. What their rights are. Etc. and so get rid of that paper. I conducted many of you on TV have seen the American where I would ask the person to read through their rights. Anything you say can and will be used, and then understand that, so write down that they understand their rights. Thousands of interviews willing to speak. Where I would ask the person to read through their rights. Why did they do that? Everything in understand that those rights. That they understand their. You should leave this interview right now. Still willing. Nothing good is going to come from it for you. Why did they do that? Everything in every single one's rights says you should leave this interview right now. Signed away. Nothing good is going to come from it for you, right? And how did I do that? Yet every single one, here are the rights that you are entitled to. Signed away. I would like you to do rights is to read through it, make sure that you understand. Matter of fact, if you could initial by each right, that would be really helpful. Here are the rights that you are entitled to. I want to make sure that you are fully understand is to read everything that you are entitled to. You understand. Matter of fact, if you could initial by each right, that would be really helpful. Read it. Yep. I want to make sure that you occasionally we get the question, fully understand what if I don't that you are entitled to. Well, you can argue with that. I'm afraid then the interview will have to and would read it. Yep. I'm afraid you have to. Occasionally we get the question, what if I don't sign this? Someone once told me, don't throw me into that. I'm afraid then the interview will have to end. It's the best thing that they could do. I'm afraid you have to leave. But they've come all the way down to see you. They're in an interview. They want to know what you know. Every single person, Firefox, signed the waiver. Get in the best thing that they could do. But they've come all the way down to see you. They're in an interview. They want to know what you know. Every single person, free will, very important. Get in writing, get it out of sight. All right. Understand strong positive opening statement. If it's applicable, that they can get a lawyer. It's an accusation. Their own free will. Very law. There's certain get in writing countries in the world where if you accuse somebody of something, strong positive opening statement, you have actually committed a crime. That's a fun fact that you would need to know. There's certain beforehand countries in the world where if you accuse somebody of the law without proof, you have actually committed a crime. That's a fun fact that you would need to know about. Taking some money, if you accuse somebody of something, know the law. What are the reactions are going to be? They may confess right then and there, but more likely, as an example, people who are innocent are going to get mad. But guess what? So are the guilty. How are we going to tell them apart? What are the reactions we're going to be? I'll give you a hint. Right then and there, but more likely, innocent who are genuinely mad are going to get mad. But guess what? So are the guilty. How are we going to tell them looking at them? I'll give you a hint. You'll be able to tell. Innocent who are genuinely mad. Which ones there? The innocent are going to look exactly like the guilty. Say, I want to talk to you. Tell you some money. There's no way by looking at them. What? That they will. I told you I did not take that money from the safe. How many times do I need to tell you I didn't take that money at all? I want to talk to you. Tell you some money from the safe. That sounds pretty good. What? I told you I did not take that money from the safe. How many times do I need to tell you I didn't take that money at all? Exactly the same. So how are we going to tell them? That sounds pretty good. That was easy. When someone gets genuinely angry, they will stay mad for a long time. And your reactions are, whoa, how are we going to tell them? Let's calm down. Easy. Calm down? When someone just accused me of a crime, angry, I'm not going to calm down. They will stay mad. It may take you 10, 15 minutes. Your reaction is going to be, whoa, let's calm down. When it's an act, calm down. I just did an act. You just accused me of a crime. I'm not going to calm the guilty down. It may take you 10, 15 minutes. To bring them back down. If they get really mad, and then I just did an act. Seconds later, 30 seconds later, you can calm the guilty down. Guess what? It was an act. Easy. They weren't mad. If they're mad, they get really mad. That's for real. And then seconds later, 30 seconds later, calm the guilty down again. They are faking. Guess what? It was an act. They weren't mad. If they're minimized. Watch out for those trigger words. For real. Not stole. You can calm the guilty down because they are faking their anger. Not larceny. Watch out for those trigger words. Right? Legally, these have the same value. You didn't steal, but softer and gentler. Not embezzled. That's a scary word. Not larceny. You fudged the books. Right? Legally, these have the same value. Equals jail, but softer and gentler. Took, not embezzled. That's a scary word. Mistakes. Who hasn't made mistakes? We've all made mistakes. This was a mistake. Right. Stole, larceny, embezzled equals jail. You want to make it right now, don't you? Needed, took, fudged equals mistakes. Who hasn't made mistakes? We've all made mistakes. Ask yourself, what's easier to admit? I made a mistake when I fudged the books because I don't you? What I really needed the money that I took, or I am a thief. Ask yourself, what's easier to admit? When I made a mistake when I fudged the books because I deserve to go to jail. What I really needed the money that I took legally, or fudging the book. I am a thief who knowingly committed larceny when I stole from the company that has treated me so very well, and I deserve to go to jail. What's easier for somebody to admit? Legally, fudging the book. Okay, same thing. I'm a realist. The money, taking the money, that's larceny. I know that. Which one's
You're going to see a lot of presentations, either today or over the next few weeks.
I'm a realist. You're going to look back on this.
I know that
presentation.
You're going to see a lot of
And
presentations.
if you remember nothing else,
either today or over the next
I
few
want
weeks.
you to remember this. You're going to look back on this,
but a no
presentation
is a yes.
And if you remember nothing else,
But a no,
I want you to
yes.
remember this. Anything
but
a
a
no
is a
is a yes.
I always say that 3 times.
Anything.
Because that is the most
But a
important
no
point
in
is
this
a
entire
yes.
presentation. Anything
Anything.
a no is a yes.
But
If
a
you're
no
asking a question,
is a yes.
and the answer should be
I always
no.
say
If
that
you get
3 times.
anything
Because
else,
that is the most important
it's really
point
a yes.
in this entire presentation.
anything but a no is a yes. If you're
Qualified
asking a
answers.
question,
Did you take the
answer
money?
should be no. If you get
Answer should be
anything
no.
else, it's really
Did
a
I
yes.
take the money?
No.
That's a qualified answer. He's repeating
Qualified
the question.
answer.
Did I take the
Did
money?
you
No.
take the money?
Telling you know somebody
Should be
did.
no.
Repeating the question back to you.
Did
you know
I
how
take the
theft
money?
happened?
No.
Do I know how the theft
That's a
happened?
qualified answer.
Not
He's
really.
repeating the question.
Did I take the money? No.
Anything but a no.
Telling you know
is a yes.
somebody did.
Quick example.
Repeating the question back to you.
As
Do
a
you know how
young
the
police
theft
officer
happened?
had taken my
Do
first
I know how the theft
interviewing
happened?
course.
Not really.
I pulled a car over for speeding.
Anything
I'm just
but
going to
a
give them
no
a verbal
is a
warning.
yes.
Quick
Tell them
example.
that, sir, please drive carefully.
As a young police
Here's your license
officer
and
had taken my
registration. I think
first
to myself, you know,
interviewing
I'm
course.
going to try.
I pulled a car
Some of this
over for
interviewing
speeding. I'm just going to give them a verbal
So as I
warning.
hand the guy's license
Tell
and
them that,
registration
sir,
back to him,
please
tell him to
drive
drive
carefully.
safely.
I say,
Here's the license
Sir,
and registration.
are you carrying any drugs in the vehicle?
I'm going to try.
Guy
Some
looks
of
at
this
me with
interviewing
disdain.
stuff.
He goes,
So
no.
as I hand the guy's license
not
and
carrying
registration
any
back to him,
drugs
tell
in
him
the
to drive
vehicle.
safely. I say,
Sir,
wow. That
are
was
you
a quick
carrying any
no.
drugs in the
He added a
vehicle?
little something to it, but
The guy looks
that
at
was a
me with
quick no.
disdain. He goes, I could search this
No.
car forever. I'm not going to
I'm
find
not
any
carrying
drugs.
any drugs in the vehicle.
So I try another question. Sir,
And like, wow, that was
are
a
you
quick no.
carrying any
He
weapons
added a
in the
little
vehicle?
something to it, but
That was a
his
quick
hands
no.
on the steering wheel.
I could search this car
To the
forever.
best of
I'm not
my
gonna find
knowledge
any
and
drugs.
belief.
So I
Bam!
try another question.
Right there.
Sir, I knew
Are
he
you
was lying. Carrying any weapons
Next
in
thing
the
I said
vehicle?
to him, I said, where is he? He goes, it's on his
Just
hands
see.
on the steering wheel. It looks straight forward. He
And
goes,
it was that
to the
easy.
best of my
I
knowledge
never
and belief,
before would have
Bam!
thought right
that
there.
somebody saying the best of my
I knew
knowledge
he
and
was
belief
lying.
was
Next thing I
actually
said
an
to him,
affirmative.
where is he? He
answer.
goes,
It's on his
This is
actually
a
a
yes.
But
And it
it's
was that
anything
easy.
but a no.
I never
is a yes.
before would have
nothing
thought
else that somebody saying the
from
best of
today's
my knowledge and
presentation,
belief, please
was
remember
actually
this.
an
Write this
affirmative
one
answer.
down. You're going to
It's
get the
actually
slides
a
later,
yes.
but write it down so you
It is
remember it.
anything
This
but a
will
no
serve
is a yes.
you
Well.
If you remember nothing else from today's
Right.
presentation,
Uh-oh.
please remember this. Write this one down. You're going to get the
innocent
slides
don't
later,
need
but
time
write it
to
down
think.
so you remember it.
To
This will
deny
serve
the guilty,
you well
they need
in the
time.
future. All right. Interruptions. Okay, this is another easy one.
Innocent don't need time
Never.
to think.
It should
To
be
deny
sacrosanct to
guilty,
you. When
they
you
need
go
time.
into an interview room to interview somebody, nobody
Interruptions.
interrupts you. Okay, this is another easy
Right.
one.
Very
Never
few
exceptions.
It
An
should be
exception,
sacrosanct
the
to
building's
you.
on
When you
fire.
go into
We
an
all
interview
need to
room
get out so we don't burn
to
to death.
interview
There's an
somebody,
exception.
nobody interrupts
Other than
you.
something extreme like that,
Right.
very
Don't get
few
interrupted.
exceptions. An
You
exception,
don't want
the
that.
building's on fire.
Right.
We all need to
Emergencies,
get out. So we
real
don't
ones
burn to
only.
death. There's an exception.
Talk to
Other
us
than
about
something extreme like that,
interruptions are going to
don't
break
get
the mood.
interrupted.
They're going to break the
you don't want that
rapport.
to
They're going to
happen.
cost
All
you
right, emergencies, real ones
Right.
only. If somebody
Let's
has
talk
something
about
that
interruptions
they
are
really
going
need
to
to
break
speak
the
to
mood.
you,
They're going to
there's
break
a
the
glass window to the door,
They're
they
going
can
to
take a
cost you
flashlight, they can
confessions.
shine it, and you can
Right.
say,
you'll
if
catch
somebody
out of the
has
corner of
something
your
that
eye,
then you can break the interview.
really need to speak
Step
to you.
outside. If there's a glass
Speak
window
to
to the door, they
but
can
you
take
really
a
just don't
flashlight,
want
they can shine it, and
you
you
to
can
have
say
any interruptions.
Your
Interruptions
interruptions
are
are
going to
set
set
you
you
back.
back.
Then
set
you
your
can
way
break the
back.
interview. Another quick
Step
war story.
outside
I'm interviewing a
and speak
murder
to
suspect,
suspect.
but you really
Not
just
as
don't
heavy as
want
it gets.
to have
And we're
any
that
interruptions.
close.
Interruptions are going to set
He's
you
gonna
back,
admit what he
set you
did.
way back. We had
Another
an old
quick war
time story. I'm interviewing a
detective
murder
was,
suspect who's been
not as heavy
on
as
the
it
job
gets.
40 some odd years.
And we're that
Didn't believe in
close.
all this interviewing
He's gonna
nonsense.
admit what he did.
And we had an old time, almost got the guy admitting
Detective
it. All of a
was.
sudden the door,
Then
boom,
on the job,
comes 40
open.
some odd
The
years.
guy points his
Didn't
finger
believe in
at
all
the
this interviewing
suspect, the
nonsense.
murder suspect says, "You,
And
you better tell this detective
almost got the
everything
guy
you know, or
admitting
else
it. All of a
you're
sudden the
going
door,
to jail
boom,
for a long
comes
time."
open.
Boom!
The guy closes
Points
the
his
door. We can
finger at
feel
the
like
suspect,
almost
the
the
murder
air
suspect says,
moving
"You,
room
you better
alone.
tell this detective
What was
everything
that?
you know, or else
Right.
you're you're going to jail for a long time.
He knew that if he told me everything,
closes the door,
definitely
you could
was
feel
going to
like
jail
almost
for a
the air
long time.
moving in the room. room, and we're all like,
interruptions.
what was
They
that?
set you way back.
This guy wasn't an idiot.
Hour.
He knew that
to
if he
get back
told
to
me
where
everything
I
he knew,
was,
he definitely was
before
going to
this
jail
guy.
for a long time.
All right. They always
Right.
come at the worst time.
No interruptions.
They
Legal
set you
matters.
way,
Know
way
your
back. It
legal
took me
responsibilities
another
for
hour
where
to
you
get
are.
back
We
to where
talked
I
about
was.
This is an
before
important
this
one. Especially if you're going to
They
a
always
different
come at the worst
country.
time. No interruptions.
Speak to somebody
Legal
who's a
matters.
legal
Know your
expert
legal
in that
responsibilities
country
for
before
where
you
you
conduct
are.
an
We
interview.
talked about
Don't
it. Jam
This
yourself
is an
up.
important one.
All right.
Will
Especially
there
if
be
you're going to a
criminal
different
consequences?
countries.
Speak to somebody
Sometimes
who's a
there
legal
are.
expert in
Sometimes the
that country
corporation
before
just
you
wants to
conduct
keep
an
it
interview.
quiet.
Don't jam yourself up.
Sometimes
All
they're going to turn it.
Will there
it's-
be
it's big enough,
criminal
it's going to get turned over
consequences?
to the police.
Sometimes there
Right.
are. Are you an
Sometimes the
agent of the
corporation
police?
just wants to keep it
Once you
quiet.
bring the police in,
Sometimes
if you get any
they're gonna
guidance
turn it. It's
from
big
the
enough. It's
police
going
at
to
all.
get turned
Guess
over
what?
to
You
the
have just
police.
become a de facto
Right.
police
Are
officer.
you an
if conduct
agent
any
of the
further
police?
interviews? Once you bring the
Particularly if you're
police
trying to get
in, if
information
you get
that the
any
police have asked you
guidance
that they'd like to
from the
know.
police at all,
Right. And then
guess
all
what?
those
You have just
protections
become a de
that
facto
a
police
citizen
officer
has
if
when
you
they're dealing
conduct
with
any
the police
further
will then
interviews.
kick in. Particularly if you're trying to get
If you're gonna
information
speak
that
with
the
the
police have
police,
asked you that they'd like
Do
to
your
know.
investigation.
Right. And then
finish
all
it,
those
and
protections
present
that
them with a
a
case.
citizen has when they're dealing with
That's
the
what
police
management
will then
wants.
kick in. All right. Our rights
Right.
warning
If you're
is
gonna speak with the
necessary.
police,
They should come of their own
Do
free
your
will.
investigation.
Free to leave at any
finish it,
time.
and then present them
Getting
with
back
a
to the
case.
interview room, if that's what management.
Where should the
wants.
suspect's
All right,
chair
our
be?
rights warning
Always
necessary.
closest
They should
to
come
the
of their
door.
own free will.
Never,
Free to leave
ever
at any time.
put your chair
Getting back to
between
the interview
suspect
room and the means.
Where should
of
the
exit.
suspect's chair be?
Right. You're setting
Always
yourself up
closest
if you
to
do
the
that
door.
for a false imprisonment
Never,
charge. Later you're
ever
gonna say, I
put
felt
your
like I couldn't
chair
get out of that
between
room.
the
The
suspect
only way I could get out of that
and the
room was by
means of
answering
exit.
questions, and I was ready to
Right.
say
You're
anything.
setting yourself
Now,
up.
if you do that for
Let
a
them
false
be
imprisonment
by
charge,
the
later
door.
they're going to say, I felt like
They're
I
gonna
couldn't
forget
get
it's
out of that
behind
room.
them.
The only way I
But
could
you
get
never
out of that
wanna
room was by
create that
answering
impression
questions, and I was
that
ready
you
to
are
say anything.
physically
Now, restraining them.
Let them be by the door.
If
They're
they
gonna
ask
forget
for a
it's
lawyer,
behind them.
right,
Do I need
but
a
you
lawyer?
never want to create that
What if they ask
impression
you
that
if
you
they
are
need a lawyer?
physically
What do you
restraining.
say?
All right.
This is a tough one.
If
It's
they
gonna
ask
depend
for a
on the
lawyer,
laws on where
you
you
are
are. Do I need a
practicing.
lawyer?
Right.
What if they ask you?
The way I
if they
used to
need a
get
lawyer?
out of it, I would say,
What
I
do you
would never
say?
advise anybody not
This is a
to get
tough
lawyer.
one.
It's going to depend on
But
the
that's a
laws on
decision
where
that
you
you
are
need to make
practicing.
for yourself.
All right. The way I used to get out of it, I would say I would
Right.
never advise anybody not to get a lawyer. But that's a decision.
Difficult
that you need
situation
to make.
lawyers. What about lawyers from your side? I'm from legal. I'm here to help. Lawyers are happy to tell you what you can't do. Difficult situation lawyers.
Right.
What about
And
lawyers
not so
from your
good
side?
at telling you what
I'm
you
from
can't
legal. I'm here
do.
to
It may
help.
be required. to
Lawyers
have
are
a
happy to
lawyer
tell you
present.
what you can't
All right.
do.
That's the hand you're dealt with. All right.
They're not so good at
Telling you what you can do.
Again,
You
tell
may
the
be
lawyer
required
from your
to
side
have your
a
conducting
lawyer
interview
present.
if they need to be there. To
That's the
observe,
hand you're dealt
you
with.
need to stay. All right.
Again,
Need to
tell
act
the
as an
lawyer
observer,
from your side,
not a
your
participant.
conducting
interview.
keep them
If
out of
they
that line of
need to
sight
be
that we
there
talked
to
about
observe,
before.
they
Subject
need
should
to
forget
stay
they're even there.
No interruptions, particularly from anybody
Need
in
to
the
act as an
room.
observer,
Not a participant.
rationalization out of that line of sight that we talked about
Remember,
before.
minimize
Subject
the
should forget
action.
they're even
Watch
there.
the trigger words.
No
interruptions, particularly from
Minimize the
anybody
actions.
in the room.
Hey, everybody's taking something
Rationalization.
from work. Pen,
Remember,
paper,
minimize the action.
$500,000.
Watch the trigger
It's just a
words.
matter of degree.
Minimize
Being a
the
little
actions.
facetious there.
But
Hey,
minimize.
everybody's taking
Everybody's
something
taking
from work.
Who has it?
Pen,
Who hasn't taken
paper, $500,000. It's just a matter of degree.
From
I'm
work.
being a little
Crying out
facetious
loud.
there. It's just a matter
minimize
of
it.
degree. Everybody's taking
Minimize
Who
what
has
they've done.
Who hasn't
You're not
taken
the
something?
first one in the world. This is a great one.
Cops
You're
take
not
things from
the
work,
first
for
one in
crying
the
out loud.
world
It's just a matter
to
of
fill in the
degree.
blank. Whatever the situation
Minimize
is.
what they've done.
Lots of other people.
You're
You're
not
not
the
the first one in the world. This is a great one. You're not the first one
great
in
one.
the world. You were going to pay it
fill in the
back,
blank,
right?
whatever the
That is
situation
throwing
is.
a drowning
Lots of other people
person
have done
a
this.
life vest. Right? Of course, I was going to pay it back.
Great one.
Well, you were going to pay
If
it
you haven't
back.
taken it in
right?
the first
That
place,
is
what is there to
throwing
pay
a
back?
drowning
Nothing.
person
Right.
a life
You're going to pay
vest.
it back,
right? Right.
Of
Of course, I was going to pay it
jump
back.
at this one. They see it as an out.
Yes.
If you haven't taken it in the first place, what is there to pay back? Nothing. All right. You were going to pay it back, right? All interviewees are under stress. They just guilty or under really great stress. They need to know what you know to lie effectively. Right. Guilty are thinking a mile.
All interviewees are under stress.
Don't need
Guilty are under really great
you
stress.
ask
They
them
need to know
something,
what you know
right,
to lie effectively.
if they're just going to memory banks, guilty are thinking
It doesn't take that long
because they're just remembering.
They can tell you right away.
If you ask them something,
Guilty,
right,
to lie effectively,
they have to think,
they're
okay,
just going
the
to
lie I'm
memory
about
banks.
to tell,
does
it
that
doesn't
tie
take
in
that long
with my
because they're just
previous
remembering,
lies?
and they can tell you
How
right
about the
away.
lies I'm going to have to tell in the
The
future
guilty
to cover this
to
up?
lie effectively.
What's that all
they have to
take?
think, okay, the
Time.
lie I'm about to tell,
Does
innocent
that tie in
responses,
with my
true
previous
responses
lies?
come quick.
And how about the lies I'm going
Guilty
to have
need
to
to
tell
think
in the
a mile a minute
future? You
to
can almost
cover
see the
this
smoke
up.
coming out of
What's
their
that all take?
ears. Their brains are
Time.
working so hard.
Innocent
Right.
don't have to think
Innocent
so hard.
responses, true
Right.
responses.
Guilty
Trap-
need to think a mile.
It could have been
almost see the
you
smoke
because
coming
when
out
the
of
theft
their
took place, you were at the
ears, their
local
brains
bar.
are working so hard.
And you saw the
Innocent don't
fire
have to
across
think
the
so
street.
hard.
Say this is the situation.
Right.
Fraud
Trap 'em.
occurred. Say somebody was
Couldn't
on
have
the
been
computer
you
at work.
because when the
At
theft
that
took place, you were
time,
at the local
They're saying
bar.
it couldn't have been me because
And you
I
saw
was
that
at
the
the
local
across the
bar.
street. Say this is the
Then you know the
situation.
question. You saw the fire across the
A
street then that night.
Fraud occurred. Say somebody was on the
if they're
computer
innocent,
at work.
they really were at the
that
local bar,
time,
they'd be like,
they're saying it couldn't have
I
been
didn't see
me because I
anything.
was at the local bar.
Oh, you must have. All the
And
fire
you know the
engines,
question, you saw
everything.
the fire across the street
No.
that night.
All right.
Now, if they're innocent,
If they're
they
guilty,
really were
you
at the
have to
local
think
bar,
about
they'd be
it.
like,
Did I hear about
I didn't see
a
anything.
fire? Oh, you must have. All the fire
Do I know
engines,
anything
everything.
about all this takes
No.
time.
All right.
All right, let
If
them
they're
talk.
guilty, they
Never
have to think
interrupt
about
the
it. Did I
suspect.
hear about a fire?
Be a good listener. Learn how to
Do I
be a
know
good
anything
listener.
about
Your
all
spouse
this
will like
takes
that one.
time.
I'm still working at that.
Let them talk.
Never
Right.
interrupt
What do
the
they really
say? What words are they using? Be a good
When they
listener.
stop,
Your-
let the
Learn how to
silence
be a
lie
good
there.
listener.
That
Your
silence
spouse will like that
works
one
for you.
I'm still working at that.
Right.
In normal conversation,
Right.
it's
What do
all
they
they
really
really
say?
say.
What
What
words
words
are
are
they
they
using?
interview? If
When
you've
they
been
stop,
talking,
let the silence
it gets
lie
real
there. That
quiet.
silence
Don't
works
feel like you have
for
to
you.
add
Right.
to the normal conversation.
Let that
It's
silence
awkward.
lie there.
People are
If they're
quiet.
going
During
silent,
an interview,
what are
if
they
you've been
thinking?
talking,
It
it
gets
thinking,
real quiet.
I think
Don't
I have
feel like you
to
have
confess.
to.
What happens if I
to the
confess? What are the
conversation? Let that
ramifications?
silence lie there. If they're going silent,
What are they thinking?
silence
They're
is going to
thinking,
build pressure. It
I
works
think
for
I
you.
have to confess.
All right.
What happens if I
Um,
confess? What are the ramifications?
All right.
We've got about 8 minutes left here.
Silence is going to build pressure.
I'm going to stop right here at this point,
All right.
and I'm sure some of you have questions. Before I get into those questions, one thing we've got about
I'm going to
8 minutes left here.
cut you off at the pass.
I'm going to stop right here at this point.
Many
and
times I
I'm
receive
sure
a
some
lot
of you
of
have
questions.
Before
I
I get
can
into
only
those
do
questions, one
video
thing,
interviews.
I'm
I
going
can
to
only do telephonic
cut you off at
interviews.
the pass. Many
Don't do
times I receive a lot of
That's the
questions.
best advice
I can
give
only
you
do
there.
video
If an
interviews.
interview is worth
I can only
doing,
do
it's
telephonic
worth doing
interviews.
in person. You have to do a video or a phone interview.
Don't do it.
You have lost so many
That's the
tools
best
out of your
advice I can
toolbox.
give
It's
you
really
there.
hard to see
If
somebody's
an interview
body
is
language.
worth doing,
It's really hard to
it's worth
establish a
doing
rapport.
in
All the
person.
things we've
You
talked
have to
about.
do a video
It's
or a
tough.
phone interview.
It's very tough.
You have lost
And
so many tools
all of a sudden
out of
there
your
are
toolbox. It's really
technical
hard to see somebody's
difficulties.
body language.
You know, boom.
It's really
I'm
hard to
sorry, we lost the
establish a
signal.
rapport.
All the things we've
Yeah.
talked about.
And that lets
It's
them
tough.
get out of it.
It's very tough.
Right.
And
Why do we
all
do
of a
it?
sudden
Are we
there
doing
are
video
technical
and telephonic
difficulties.
interviews?
You know, boom.
Because it's a matter
I'm
of
sorry, we lost the
course.
signal. Hello? The interview is
Yeah.
worth doing.
And that
It's
lets them
worth
get out of
doing
it.
in person, right?
Why
It's
do we
really,
doing? Are we doing
really
video
hard
and telephonic
to do a good
interviews?
telephone
Because
interview. I wish
it's a
I had
matter
a
of
magic
cost.
wand. And if the interview is worth doing,
Add a
it's
few-
worth
some
doing
way to
in
make that
person.
really work for
It's
you.
really,
All right, but
really
I know.
hard to do a good
All right.
telephone interview. I
We
wish
still
I had
got
a
some
magic
time?
wand.
Are there some questions? I'm sure there are. Some way to make that
Thank you
really
very
work
much
for you.
for your amazing
Right, but
presentation. Actually, just to give
All right.
you
We
a
still got
comment
some
about the
time?
last one you mentioned.
Are there some
If you
questions? I'm
remember
sure there are.
Amanda Knox investigation,
Thank you very much
that
for
happened in
your
Europe, one of
amazing
the biggest
presentation.
actually,
cases
just to
that was
give
globally,
you a
very
comment
well
about the
known.
last one you
The
mentioned.
suspect was
That's the one
If
in
you
Italy,
remember
right?
Amanda Knox
that was the one in
investigation,
Italy. The
that
suspect
happened in
actually
Europe,
ran
one of
away.
the biggest, and then the police they were
cases
able to
that was
actually
globally,
communicate with him
very
through
well
social
known.
media.
The
And they
suspect
decided
that's
to
the
do
one
an
in Italy,
interview
right?
remotely. I think
that
they did
was
it
the one
through
in
Skype
Italy,
or
the
something like
suspect
that.
actually ran
Get
away.
his, and then the police they were able to
But the
actually
interesting thing
communicate
that
with him
actually
through
when they met
social
him
media
in
and they
person one
decided
to one,
do an
he
interview
changed
remotely.
exactly
I think
his
they did
statement.
it with a
And
Skype or
he
something
was
like claiming that actually, because it was distance. But then that was thing that actually when they met him in person one-to-one, he changed exactly his statement. And he was claiming that actually, because it was distance, that was confusing
All right,
for him to actually
one has
answer
to
the
do
question.
with virtual interviews.
Yeah, let me go over the questions with you. So the first question they are saying, are we allowed to lie to the suspect?
First one
So
has
are
to
we
do
allowed
with
to tell him
virtual
we have
interviews.
evidence against you, even we don't have evidence?
Yeah,
So
let me
go over the questions with you. So the first question they are saying, are we allowed to lie to the suspect? So are we allowed to tell him we have evidence against you, even we don't have evidence? So in that way he will feel like,
Are you allowed to lie to a suspect?
There's an easy rule for this one.
You can.
All right.
Is what you're doing,
What's your
would you consider
motivation?
it fair or unfair?
What's the nature of the
Right.
lie?
Are you allowed to lie to a
Is it
suspect?
fair?
Absolutely. You can.
All right.
Sometimes,
what's your
that
motivation?
example that I just gave, where somebody's
the
giving you
nature
an
of the
alibi,
lie?
I couldn't have done it at this time
Is
in the
it
office because
fair?
I was down at the bar. And you say, well, sometimes
Did you see the flyer
that example that I just
happened that
gave, where
evening, right
somebody's
at that
giving you an
time,
alibi,
right
I
across
couldn't
the
have
street
done
from
it
the
at
bar?
this time in the
No,
office because
there
I was
wasn't any
down at the
flyer
bar.
there.
Is that a
Well,
lie? It's kind
Did
of
you see
sort
the
of
flyer
is,
that
happened that evening,
But
right
where
at that
you're
time,
doing it,
right
you wanna
across
see
the
what the
street from the
reaction
bar.
is. The innocent reaction is,
There wasn't any
I'm
flyer
sorry, I was
there.
sitting in the bar. I didn't
Is that
see
a lie?
anything like
It's
that.
kind of sort of is.
The guilty
party who was not
Right.
at that bar was really
But
in the
where
office.
you're
You're
doing
doing
it,
it.
you
You
wanna
want to see what the reaction is. The innocent
gotta
reaction
think.
is, I'm
You
sorry,
know,
I was sitting in the bar.
this is
I
a
didn't
situation
see anything
where
like that.
you're able
The guilty
to
party who was not at that bar was really in the office stealing
exactly
at that
what
time.
we're talking about.
They got to
Lie,
think,
but there's a good
you know,
reason for it.
this is a situation
And I would say
where
that in that situation,
you're able
it's
to
considered fair.
Okay. Another question, please.
Exactly what we're talking about. Lie, but there's a good reason for it. And I would say that in that situation, it's
Okay,
considered
so
fair.
the other question is about the mobile
Okay.
phone.
Another question,
Are we
please?
allowed to actually tell him that you need to switch your mobile phone off when we start the interview with him?
Yeah,
Okay, so the
better
other
yet,
question is about the mobile
They don't
phone.
take it into
Are we
the
allowed
interview
to
room.
actually tell him that
All right.
you need to switch your
If you're
mobile
working
phone
at
off
a
when we
company
start
or
the
a
interview with him?
corporation, better yet,
Have that in your
they don't take it
initial
into the interview
agreement
room.
when somebody gets hired. All right. All right.
If you're working
Cell
at
phones.
a company or a
It's
corporation,
distraction. You know, like
have that in
excuse
your
me, I'll,
initial
be with you
agreement
just
when
as somebody gets hired.
No,
All right.
no
Cell phones in there.
No,
You gotta tell them
I'm
it's
sorry.
a distraction. You know, like
I don't want to be
excuse me,
interrupted.
it's a
Be with you just a
distraction.
No,
We won't be all
No.
that long. No
Please
cell
leave your
phones in
cell
there
phone
outside.
If
Tell
they
them,
don't want
I'm
to
sorry.
abide by
I
that,
don't want to be
I
interrupted.
would say do not conduct
It's
the
a
interview.
distraction. We won't be all that
bring
long.
it to
Please leave your
the
cell
attention of the
phone
higher
outside.
If
If
they
they
don't
don't
wanna,
cooperative.
no
Abide
cell
by
phones
that.
in interviews.
I would
Please.
say do not conduct the interview. Another one?
All right,
You got time for
another-
a couple more?
Yeah, we have time for a couple of more. Another one, they are saying when you are conducting an interview, why
No
do you
cell
need to
phones
conduct it in a
please.
conference room, not in his office?
Another one?
What
You got
if
time
he
for a couple
refused? He
more?
said, no, we have time for a couple of more. Another one,
Never,
they are saying when you
ever
are conducting
in
an
their
interview,
office.
why we
Right,
need
think
to
about that
conduct
for a
it in a
second. The
conference
office
room, not
is
in
their
his
place of
office?
power.
And what if he
They're
refused?
behind
He
their
said,
own
no, we need
desk.
to do it
They've
in
probably
my
got
office.
a computer screen between
Never,
you and them.
ever in their
office.
Right?
Think
They
about that for a
have
second. The office
all
is
their
their place
things
of
around
power.
them. Get
They're
them out of
behind
their
their own desk.
comfortable
They've probably got a
environment.
computer screen
Do not
between you and
conduct
them.
an interview in
Um,
their office. if
They
at all
have
possible.
you're
All their
behind the eight
things
ball
around them.
from the
Get
beginning.
them
there.
out of that
You wanna
comfortable
conduct it, as we
environment.
talked
Do
about
not
in an interview
conduct
room
an interview
with
in
as many of the
their
attributes
office, if at all
as what we
possible.
described. You're behind the eight ball.
Thank
from
you
the
very much.
beginning there.
Another
You
question
wanna
they are
conduct it,
speaking
as we
about,
talked about
do you know,
in an interview room
what about when you are
with as
doing an
many of the
interview with him
attributes
and he is
as what we described.
trying to explain to you the reason
Thank you
why
very
he
much.
did the fraud.
Another question
Do
they
we
are
have to
speaking
actually
about,
push him to
do you know,
explain the actual reason?
what about when you are
Maybe
doing
the
an
reason can
interview
be
with
related
him
to
and
drugs
he
or
is,
alcohol or
trying
so
to
many other
explain to you
areas,
the reason
or
why he
should
did
we
the fraud?
accept his lies?
Do we
if he
have
tell
to
us the
actually
reason
push
is
him
because
to
of
explain the
financial
actual
difficulty
reason?
or loan,
Maybe
or
the
because
reason
he
can
was
be
addicted
related
to drugs or alcohol or
If I
so
understand
many
the
other
question
areas,
correctly,
or should we accept his lies if he will tell us the reason is
accept his
because
reason or
of
even
financial
listen to his
difficulty or
reasoning?
loan, or
Yeah,
if we know, for example,
if I
like
understand the
the main
question
reason is because
correctly,
of
should
drugs
we,
or alcohol, but he lied to us in the
accept
interview. He
his
said
reason
because
or even
I'm
listen
greedy, I
to his
wanted so much
reasoning?
money. Yeah, if
absolutely.
we know, for example,
them
like
say that.
the main reason is because
If
of
you
drugs
have done your
or
homework
alcohol,
and you
but
found
he
out
lied
that
to us in the
instead
interview. He said
of,
because I'm greedy, I wanted so much money.
that the real reason was a drug problem or
let
a
them say
drinking
that.
problem,
If you have done your homework and you found out that instead by establishing that rapport, agreed, you can say that the real reason was a drug problem or a drinking problem, and you want to get that on the record by establishing that rapport, you can say, listen, my investigation, I think you have a problem with drugs, or you have a problem. That's not the reason why you committed this fraud. That was the real reason. You go something along those lines. Let them speak. My investigation. Right, the more they speak with drugs, the more trouble. Don't interrupt them when they're giving their explanation for what you go something along those lines. If you need let them speak. Feel you need to correct. The more they speak on the record, the more trouble. Don't interrupt them. Let that when they're giving their explanation for what they've done. Let them speak if you need.
All right, we have another two questions. One question related to note taking. If you are the only interviewer in the room, what is the best technique for you to be able to take notes related to? All right, we have another two questions.
Easy one.
One
Don't
question
do it.
related to note
Don't take
taking.
notes.
If you
You
are
don't need
the
them.
only
You know your
interviewer
case.
in the
You
room,
will remember
what is the
things.
best technique for you to be able to take notes?
Notes are a
related
distraction.
to the interview.
Notes are gonna easy one. Don't do
He
it.
said something or she
Don't
said
take
something
notes.
that's
You don't need
important.
them.
All of a sudden,
You know your case.
You pick up a piece of
things.
paper and start writing down like,
Notes are a
what did I
distraction.
just say?
Notes are gonna. You do
You know,
not.
he says
need
something
to
or she
take
says something that's
notes.
important. All of a
I get
sudden,
asked
this question all the time. You
Don't
pick up a piece
do
of
it. You
paper.
don't need it.
Start writing
Trust
down like,
yourself.
what did I just say?
You know your
No.
case.
You
do
don't
not
need the
need
crutch
to
of
take
writing
notes.
down notes.
I get asked this
Believe
question
me,
all the time.
You're going to
Don't
remember
do
when
it.
you
You don't
transition
need it.
into a
Trust
written
yourself.
statement. That's the
You
time
know your case.
where
You
everything that the
don't need
individual
crutch
has
of
admitted,
writing
you're going to
down
get down
notes.
on paper.
Believe me,
No note taking.
you're
You're going to remember
don't
when you
need it.
transition into a
Trust
written
me, you don't.
statement. That's the time.
All right, perfect.
where
Our
everything
final
that the
question,
individual has
what from
admitted,
your
you're gonna
experience
get
do
down
you
on
have
paper.
some tricks
No note
or some
taking,
techniques
you don't
for us
need
to
it.
spot a liar
Trust
when
me,
he is
you don't.
actually answering our questions? All right, perfect. Our final
The
question,
biggest one is
what
what
from
we
your
mentioned
experience
is
do you
time.
have some
You
tricks
ask a
or some
question of the
techniques
innocent,
for us to spot a liar
they
when he
don't
is
need a lot of
actually
time to
answering
come
our
up with the
questions?
answer. All right,
The
they're
biggest
just going
one
into their
is
memory
what we
banks
mentioned
and they're
is time.
recalling and they're
You ask
telling
a
you right
question
then and
of
there.
the
It takes
innocent,
half a second. They don't
Right.
need a lot of time to come up with the
Look
answer.
for that time delay.
All right, they're just going into
Right,
their
when you
memory
ask a
banks
question,
and they're recalling and they're telling you
and
right
they
then and
repeat
there.
it back
Takes
to
half a
you,
second. If I understand you
right?
correctly, you're saying
Look
this,
for that time delay.
They need that
Right,
time.
when
You ask a question,
to lie
effectively. Again, it's the
and
lies
they
that
repeat
they
it
have
back
told
to
before.
you.
The lie
If
that
I
they are
understand
telling
you
now
correctly,
is that
you're
in
saying
conjunction
this.
with the lies told
It-
before. How will
they
that lie
need
they
that
are telling
time
you now
to lie
how is that
effectively.
going to
Again,
affect
it's the
them in
lies
future?
that they have
To
told
figure
before.
all that out, the
right
lie
on
that
the
they are
spot
telling
takes
now is
time.
that in
You
conjunction
want to
with the
look for
lies
one
told
technique
before,
when
how
somebody's
that lie they
lying.
are telling
They take
now,
time
how is that going to affect them in the future? To figure
All
all
right,
that out
perfect.
right
Thank
on
you
the
so
spot
much for all
takes
your
time.
insights and
You wanna
ideas
look
and
for one
techniques.
technique when
I can
somebody's
see here
lying,
the feedback
take
of our
time
delegates.
to
We
come
have
up with
around
the lies.
1,500 attending us All right, live. perfect. And, Thank the you so feedback much is for really all your great. insights They and are really ideas enjoying and techniques. all these techniques. I can see and here they say they are feedback really of our learning delegates. some We have of the around valuable skills that they can use 1,500 on their attending job. us live. And with the that, feedback I would like to thank you They for are really enjoying being our special guest speaker. and they say they are are really learning all the way from Amsterdam, that they can joining use, us on for this job. amazing session. With that, I would like to thank all our for being our special guest speaker for this is from all the way from Amsterdam, joining us for this amazing session.
Super. Thank
I would
you
like
so
to
much.
thank
Thank
all
of you
our
for attending. I really
international
appreciate
delegates
it. I
for
wish I
joining
could see
this
you all in
global
person.
webinar.
Hopefully in the
This is
future
the
we'll be able to do that.
conclusion
Thank you.
of the webinar. Definitely, thank you very much. Now, just
Super. Thank you so
for
much.
you
Thank
who
all of you for attending.
you are
I really
here,
appreciate it. I
if
wish
you
I
would
could
like
see
to
you
get
all in
your
person.
CBEs,
Hopefully in the future we'll be able to do
this
that.
is the code that
Thank
you
you.
need to use to claim your CBE.
Thank you very much.
You need to
Now,
go to
just
for you who you are here. CBE. If you would like to get your just I want to announce something very important. Code that we have to use the next session. So the next session is not going to be conduct.ae/CBE and that moves to July 20. Next session will be just I want to announce something very important. We have switched the next session that's going to be happening. Not going to be conducting and I will be presenting next that move to July 20. Next session if you are ready for actually uncovering, if you are ready for something interactive. So this is our next session that's going to be out of the ordinary. I'm not going to be wearing I will be presenting
it's a surprise
presentation.
You can actually join
if you are ready
for
next
action,
webinar,
if you are ready for something
July
interactive,
13 at 8 a.m.
out of the
Dubai
ordinary,
time,
I'm
or
not
at
going to be wearing a
11
suit. It's a surprise.
a.m.
You can actually join
Central
me
Standard Time
for next webinar.
Again,
which is happening
make sure you
on
collect your
July
CVEs
13
from this
at
link.
8
Go to
a.m.
Dubai time or at 11
enter the code, then enter your
a.m.
information, check your spam
Central
folder to
Standard
make sure
Time.
you are getting the
Again,
the
make
CVE.
sure you collect
Now,
your
for
CVEs from this link. Go to
any of you who actually would like to watch this again,
enter the
or
code,
for
then
you
enter
to
your
share with your
information,
friends
check
for
your
them to
spam
get the
folder to make
CVEs,
sure you are getting the
you can go
the
to this
CVE.
website.
Now,
actually,
for
which is
any
let
of
me
you
share it
who
here with you,
actually
which
would
is
like to watch this again,
masterclass,
or for you
and
to
you
share
can
with your
actually
friends
make
for them
your
to
friends
get the
take a
CVEs,
small
you
quiz
can
and they can collect
you
their
can go
CVE,
to this
and
website.
at the same time they can actually watch the whole recording. This will be available after masterclass,
after our
and you
session.
can actually make your friends
I
take
think
a
with
small
that,
quiz and they can
this
collect
is
their
the end of
CVE,
our
and
session.
at the same
If you
time
have
they can
anything, you can
actually
always send me
watch
an
the whole
email.
recording.
I hope
This
that
will
you are
be
enjoying this
available
program.
after 48 hours after
You know,
our
it's
session.
exciting to have so
I
many
think with
international
that,
delegates.
this is the end of our
program.
session. And
If you have
I wish
anything,
you
you can always
Thank
send
you
me
so
an
much.
email.
I
and
hope
we'll see you
that you
next
are
week.
enjoying this program.
It's an exciting to have so many international delegates in this program, and I wish you the best. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.